is that of COVID-19. Digitalization, when it comes to libraries and archive services, is the inclusive services the archives and libraries are offering, which includes the availability of technological services, new techniques, capturing and transmitting information, that will be now sound, visual images, and much more. It is true that COVID-19 indeed caught many of the libraries and archives off guard, and it indeed called for us to adopt for new normal. To that effect, libraries and archives speedily adjusted with the aim to fit into the new normal. In terms of what libraries were made available through online during lockdown, I would like to highlight that the country has ensured the provision of access to information through government libraries, which includes a network of 66 public libraries, 14 ministerial libraries, 503 school libraries, the National Library of Namibia, the National Archives of Namibia, special libraries, academic libraries across the country. Most of these facilities were required to come up with the emergency responsive plan, just to redefine the provision of access to quality information during lockdown. The libraries did strive to support community members with necessary information. Among that were the learning materials for both teachers and learners, by promoting and providing access to reliable online resources. What can be said here is libraries and archives in Namibia acted swiftly to ensure that digitized and online resources were made available and accessible by users from their comfort of their homes. The list of digitized resources are endless, therefore I will not do justice to mention them all here. However, they are available at most of the library websites. In respect to the archive services, the National Archives of Namibia also managed to fulfill its mandate of regulating records management in government offices by providing access to its holdings. The National Archives further gained momentum through its presence on the World Wide Web and social media platforms such as Facebook. It was through the National Archives website and Facebook page that the archivists maintained contact with the researchers. To that effect, they managed to share information on our holdings, such as the finding aid, digitized documents, and photos. And all of these were accessed and used through the means of emails, website, and various Facebook updates. Furthermore, records management consultative meetings were also held efficiently and effectively, and this was done through Zoom, where we had meetings with our stakeholder institutions. One of the innovative ways that were used to maintain contact with the researchers was the use of visual archives tours and exhibitions by filming videos of the National Archives functions and activity. Furthermore, the staff member of the National Archives, in collaboration with the Museum Association of Namibia, produced a visual documentary and exhibition on the documented life of the late Captain Hendrik Witbooi. In an effort to reach a wider community, this visual documentary was uploaded on the Museum Association of Namibia YouTube platform. Director of the proceedings, despite the ongoing effort to raise awareness of the holdings and the importance of the National Archive to the community member, the fact remains that most of the National Archives collection are not digitized. This is a big challenge which hugely affecting the National Archives to carry out its mandate to provide the widest possible access to its collection. Overall, when it comes to the services that were rendered during lockdown, I would like to confirm that Namibia is blessed by the representation of different types of libraries, such as special libraries and academic libraries, And I can surely confirm that all of these libraries responded to the call of COVID-19 emergency, and they made sure that users were afforded the opportunity to access information during the pandemic. In addition to the online services that they were put in place, the librarians and the archivists also introduced innovative ideas. For instance, they have managed to establish online reading programs for children, and they collaborated with other teams on the creation of the e-learning portals. Some of the libraries managed to provide short online sessions on online information search depending on the users' needs, and they also developed and provided online storytelling for children. And at the same time, the librarians managed to create and provide links, for example, to the past examination question papers, especially for grade 10 and grade 12, because usually these learners, they used to access libraries, physical library, just to access the examination papers in preparations for their examination. When it comes to equipping teachers with basic information communication technology training, the librarians and the information technology team members were able to record and provide video tutorials on IC training for teachers that required such training, for them to be successfully implement the e-learning. This innovative idea was implemented in collaboration with the ministerial team responsible for the training of teachers. We are also cognizant that most of the library users are not having access to online resources. Hence, the librarians came up with ideas to support the learners without online resources. To that effect, the public libraries did partner with various radio stations, and they shared information with public through live and pre-recorded educational program. One of the program which we can add to the innovative kit was the Namibia Reads application, which the country received as a one-year complimentary sponsorship valued at $1 million American, and this was sponsored by Smart Kids Club and the Foundation for Accessible Children's Education, FACE, in Delaware in the United States of America. This application is a carefully curated digital library that allows young children easy access to narrated and illustrated electronic books in an environment free of adverts, and the app is complemented with animation, videos, and games. The aim of the sponsorship are to assist in improving the core skills in numeracy and literacy, and it also assisting us to ensure equal access to information, and at the same time it promotes the love of reading among children. We managed to share widely with the children, the parents, and all interested users about the Namibia Reads app by creating posters, and we share them on various platforms for teachers, parents, and guardians to download and use the app. The app has been one of the key milestone resources for the Namibia children during lockdown period, and currently over 10,000 users did access the app. Director of the proceedings, it is worth noting that challenges were experienced prior and also during the pandemic. For example, working from home brought challenges to most of the library and archive staff members, as at the beginning there were no measures in place to provide staff members with resources such as computers and internet connectivity devices for them to effectively execute their duties while working from home. Working from home was also a new experience for library and archive staff members, as they had to learn how to perform productively far from their colleagues. It was realized that libraries and archives did not always have the technological tools or skills to work off-site, and attention should be directed at addressing these challenges. Director of the proceedings, in as much as we can say that information resources were readily made available through digitization processes, we should also acknowledge that digital divide is a big reality in Namibia. It is a fact that most of the community members and most of the students do not have the necessary technological resources. For example, they don't have computers, they don't have smartphones, there is no electricity, there is low bandwidth, and also internet connectivity. Indeed, community members are unable to afford the required gadgets. Thus, they have to travel a long distance to reach internet cafes, to reach libraries, or places where they can access internet in order to access information. Director of the proceedings, in conclusion, I would like to indicate that COVID-19 is really a wake-up call for us. We realize that more than ever, our users are seeking for knowledge and information around the clock. We are therefore encouraged to ensure that we maximize all opportunities to use all platforms available for us so that we make sure that information is availed to our users at all the platforms. Having said that, this call is directed towards more collaborations with our stakeholders to address the issue of digital divide among the citizens so that we enable all library users equal opportunity for them to better their lives by accessing information resources through different modes of devices at various platforms. With that, I've come at the end of my presentation, and I thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this for the opening speech, and I would like to mention as well that we have recorded this session so that it will be available on a platform I will show you later. But now I would like to play the greetings from our director of the Goethe Institut Namibia before I guide you through a little bit to the program. So up, moment, just a second.
Hello, and welcome to the Digitalisation of Culture conference online. My name is Dennis Schröder, and I'm the director of the Goethe Institut Namibia. And I have the privilege to share some thoughts and slides with you to kick off this interesting conference on a very exciting topic. So when we talk about the digitalization of culture, I believe basically what we talk about is making or putting the intangible in form. And having that said, it shouldn't start in these small devices we carry around with us since 12 years. First iPhone was it 2013 years, 2008, 7, 8. It's not a long time actually, but when you look at history, and I'm a historian with a background, training, when you look at history, humans started very early on to put ideas in form. And this is, I believe, where we should start, to put ideas and the things we see, the things that surround us, in form, on surfaces, to share ideas, to share narratives, stories, and to make the things we cannot grasp, to put it in some sort of language. Digitalization, the digit means finger from Latin, means how we count it. Well, the digits, 10 fingers, but it's more than that. It's more than just counting. It's putting abstracts like numbers into something we use for trading, for explaining, for expressing age, expressing rates, scales, values. And went from the mere cave paintings, the beginning of civilization. We went into scriptures. When you look at this Cyrus cylinder, for example, the first languages, the first scriptures, the first writings were digits, essentially. Moving on to paper, to writing, to creating forms and surfaces in order to spread ideas even wider. Moving on to the Gutenberg press that kicked off a revolution, I believe, only paralleled by what we are witnessing these days. Accelerated, of course, through the pandemic, but I'm not giving you a COVID talk right now, even though I think all of us agree that the past 2 years have accelerated digitalization as such, also in our field, particularly maybe in our field, culture. The next big revolution was the computer, which we carried later, which we had later on our desks and carried even later in our pockets. This is today. Well, I have 2 kids, and I think there's almost no day when I do not ask myself, what will, I don't know, they carry in their pockets, on their bodies. Well, I don't know, in their bodies. I don't know how the digital progress, how it will look like. But what I know, what we do know is that social interaction and the expression of ideas and the sharing of ideas has fundamentally changed over the past 10, 20 years. And also how we share these ideas, how we share culture, how we express culture. The whole term of digital culture is a fairly new term, and it allows access to information that we haven't had access before. It created equality, equity, but it is also thinking about the sources where information is coming from. It is also something I believe one has to learn to distinguish between fake news and facts. So where we'll go from here? I believe that this conference is a milestone, is going to be a milestone when it comes to thinking about where we will end up, what it means eventually for all our work, for our present. And I wish that some of the ideas that come out of this conference will turn into action. We as the Goethe Institute wish to be one of the main supporters when it comes to putting your ideas into action. And with that, I wish you a very successful event. All the best.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Schröder. Our director, my boss. Very interesting indeed as well. So I would like to explain a little bit how the conference goes on and what to do, how to reach it. First of all the sessions will be recorded. So because I've also got a lot of emails saying I cannot join because I have to work, I have work to do. Even some of the items are work related. So I will show you later on how to access to the recorded sessions. But first of all, let's have a look at the program itself. So then I share my screen now. I'm going through with you the program. So today we start at 11 o'clock with a session, best practice examples, presentation well, take a look at the past augmented realities and virtual realities, for example, to the augmented Namibian children books. That was a workshop that was organized by Mr. Sieg, his students from Berlin and from the NAS, which happened at the Goethe Institute. I've seen that also. Let me just stop my screening. That one of the participants were also there, are with you now. Elizabeth, I don't know if you can hear us or if you can talk. Maybe you can give us a minute or 2 minutes about what happens later on the best practice examples.
Yes, of course. Hey, everyone. Yeah, as Detlef mentioned, we are a group from Berlin, Germany, and we work at the Hochschule für Technik und Wirtschaft. It's a university in Berlin that is focused on technique and culture and such topics. And once a year, because Professor Sieg is also a professor at the Namibian University of Science and Technology here in Windhoek, and he organizes coding weeks. So that means he takes a couple of students from Berlin and comes with them here to the Namibia University of Science and Technology, and together with Namibian students, they organize coding weeks. So for 1 week, you get a topic and you create a little program. And yeah, for 2 years ago, I think, the topic was Namibian children's books. So we used the technique of augmented reality in order to augment Namibian children's books and bring them to life. So the topic at 11 o'clock later will be, first of all, some best practice examples from us in Berlin, and then the results of those coding weeks we held a few years ago. Yes, if you're interested, we are looking forward to you. So see you then.
Sounds a very interesting topic, and like I said, will be available anytime at a later stage as well. So now I'm going to share my screen again. So I'm not sure if I shared it now. Let me just check. So I hope that will well. Maybe somebody from the screen, people, or Elizabeth, can you see the screen? I'm not sure about if I.
Yes, it's working.
Thank you. Yeah, at 12 o'clock, we have a panel discussion with Professor Dr. Jürgen Sieg from the University of Technik and Science in Berlin, as well as the a lecturer from the NEST, and joining by Patrick Sem, director of Namibian Art Council, and Ms. Amotenya Namwala, the chairperson of the Namibian Information and Archive Workers. This session will be moderated by Harrison Simuku, who will then interview the panelists. Then we have a very interesting topic, women in STEAM. STEAM stands for Science, Technique, Energy, Engineering, and Mathematics. Professor Katharina Simbeck came together with Professor Sieg and Elizabeth Thielen from Berlin to Namibia, and she will have a talk about this subject. That will happen tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Sorry, not tomorrow. Tomorrow it's Saturday, on Monday. And then we have interesting a contribution from the DigiCul Museum from Cape Town in celebrating with the 50 years of Earth Day. The exhibition that was planned could not take place in person, so they organized I say this exhibition, this virtual exhibition, and we will see how Mbali guide us through the exhibition. On 6 o'clock in the evening, we have as guest Helvi Itenga from Yambeka Children Medias, and she will explain with me together how we turned the book Nehoyo and the Crocodile into an audiobook. I think I've got also a screen here I had, yeah, but not now. So that will be on Monday, 6 o'clock. We will also have in this session our sound technician who had some very interesting variety of sounds that was included in that audiobook. On Tuesday at 9 o'clock, we will launch a Namibian version of the action-bound The Digital Treasure Hunt in the library. It's actually, we created an escape game for children. The background story is that a child is locked in a library because the librarian didn't see the child sitting in the corner. So he turns off the light and locked the library, and now the child is locked in the library overnight. And in this escape game, the children must solve some challenges to get the key. And that was based on a German version from a library in Berlin. We created a Namibian version in English. At 11 o'clock on our program is Kelia Pene, Lay Down My Pen. It's another digital exhibition from DigiCul Museum in Cape Town. At 3 o'clock, we have a talk from Patrick Sem under the title Digitalizing Public Invests in Namibian Art, Culture and Heritage. Very interesting topic. And we finish the day with Moju's, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correct, Kingdom, a children mobile game. So this game aims to give awareness for the Book Dash. The Book Dash is an organization that has as aim that every child should have 100 books. And so the Goethe Institut organizes last year a workshop with authors, illustrators, and editors, and they created from Friday to Saturday evening some books. I don't know if you can see it now. No, I will show you later when I stop the sharing. Books for free that can be downloaded for free, and we just had recently, yesterday, the facilitator of this workshop here in Windhoek, and I think she will also join the meeting on Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Wednesday, we will show you how our Get a Clue, the digital detective story for children, was working. That was during lockdown last year in March, and then later on in October, November. Reading promotion sessions through a detective story. That was in cooperation with the Goethe Institut Namibia and Read Namibia activist Helen Spago. On the 3rd, Tata Madiba goes digital. How an exhibition turns into a web comic. That's the subject of this session, and that will be at 11 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, our guest will be Holger Moos from the Goethe Institut headquarters in Munich. No, sorry, that, no, sorry, it will not Holger Moos, it will be my colleague from the Goethe Institut Indonesia. They created an initiative about a digital library card, meaning you don't need any plastic card, any paper for registration, an app that combines the registration, access to your account, and also a direct helpline, and you can extend your items that you've borrowed. So this app created by the Goethe Institute in Indonesia will be now implemented in Namibia, and we'll see how that works and what you can do with this digital library card. At 6 o'clock, our guest will be Minds in Action, a STEAM program in Namibia and also at the Goethe Institute. You can see here STEAM and sometimes STEM. People were confused. That is a spelling mistake, but nowadays some institution insert the S for science, T for technique, E for engineering, M for mathematics. They add an A for art. Yeah, so we will see how the robotic course and the coding courses are working and what was their outcome during the last 2 years, how they were struggling. On the 4th, we have another opening and launch of the American German phrase book, the new version. The African German phrase book is an app that has got about 150 sentences. Like if you want to ask for where is the way to the railway station or the taxi stand, where is the restaurant and things like that. So this app translates African languages into German and English as well. On the 4th of November, we will launch this app with 7 different Namibian languages as well. And then finally at 11 o'clock, that's my colleague Holger Moos, I just mentioned, from the headquarters of the Goethe Institute in Munich. He will explain how our digital library works and how you can access to that library, and what help you can get. A lot of people think there's only German books. Indeed, there are a lot of German books, but we also have some English books. Maybe I can quickly show you. Let me see. I had it on the table, but maybe I closed it accidentally. Okay, you will see that on the 4th. At 3 o'clock, virtually yours. That is a platform for African contemporary literature that was created also last year with the Goethe Institute, in cooperation with the Goethe Institut Namibia. We are very proud that the moderator and the facilitator and the moderator of this series, Sukish Wawana, a very famous African author, is guiding through the program and introduce an African author. So this virtual gathering happens once a month, and it will be next year a regional project from the Goethe Institute. So that means other Goethe institutes in the sub-Saharan will join and take over sometimes the host, and it will be also then translated into French for our colleagues in Senegal, at the Ivory Coast, in Cameroon, for example. We're closing the day with developing technology to strengthen resilience in Zen children. Very interesting topic, and we will see how they show us the support of Zen children in the primary school. And the last day, on Friday, we have again as guest Professor Dr. Jürgen Sieg and Stefan, Elisabeth. Maybe you can join us again and let us know what happens this day.
Of course. Well, later we will have the talk Best Practices, where we will show the results of the coding weeks with the Namibian Living Children's book. And for the workshop next week, we will plan to show you how we did those. So how we did with our programs and in Unity and with our augmented reality SDKs, how we actually did the augmentation of those books, and show you on an example so that we can create a new Namibian Living Children's books together, hopefully.
Do you know how many Namibian students were involved, more or less? Can you remember?
So we had 6 groups, 6 books, and in every group was 1 German and 5 Namibian or 6 Namibian students. So it's quite a lot.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. So then let's finish our program with another interesting subject: preserve Namibia indigenous knowledge. And I see the person who gives in that subject is also online. So maybe let's see if that will work, if we can ask Ms. Namotenya Hamwala to join us. I give you the permission to talk. Not sure if you're prepared, but would be nice if you can talk to us a little bit, if the technique is on our side. Okay, it doesn't look like, but that doesn't matter, because it may be even more interesting and more. So the project investigates methods to be used in documenting indigenous knowledge in a do-it-yourself approach. Very interesting. By involving local community members to explain. I think this is initiatives from the ministry. And that is then the last talk for this conference. before we have our closing ceremony with prize giving for the best paper handed in. And of course, the prize will not given to some of the Goethe Institute's talks. They will be excluded from the prize giving. We have a jury that choose the best paper that was handed in. Yeah, that is so far the opening, and we will see us in about 15 minutes for the first session, Best Practice, with Professor Sieg and Elisabeth Thielen and Sophie Schauer as well. Thank you very much for joining, and see us and turn in at 11 o'clock.